Hello everyone, welcome to today's show. My name is Spencer Walsh. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Donald Trump is worried. He's grappling with the risks of proceeding with the North Korea meeting. He is quite concerned. Also, on today's show, the Supreme Court deals a major blow to the union movement, the labor movement. Chuck Schumer is the worst possible Democratic leader on foreign policy at the worst possible time. That's a good thing. Steve Bannon and Corey Lewandowski are reportedly heading back in some capacity to the White House. It's an exciting story here. Wow. Okay. Didn't see that coming. We got a great day for you today. This is Newsflash, and it's a Tuesday. Good morning to you if you're listening to us live. All right. So anyway, yeah, that's what we got for you today. Let's jump right in now. Donald Trump in Washington is increasingly concerned that his summit meeting in Singapore next month with North Korea's leader could turn into a political embarrassment, and has begun pressing his aides and allies about whether he should take the risk of proceeding with the historic meeting that he leaped into accepting quite fast, according to administration and foreign officials. So he's getting to be a little bit concerned about it. He's not entirely trusting here that he did the right thing. Which is something that you kind of would expect from Trump, who's a relative amateur at this, and pretty much unfortunately has made the decision to surround himself with some relative amateurs. North Korea really pushing back on Trump, and coincidentally, this all kind of started to go downhill when the Iran deal was signed, which is kind of something liberals said a lot, but I don't know, I'm not going to go any further than that, because there isn't really any direct correlation between the two. But when the Iran deal was signed, North Korea just threw their hands up and they're like, these guys, they are not trustworthy. We cannot go with them anymore. That seems to be the impression that they got from that, and I think getting that impression would make a lot of sense. Trump was both surprised and angered by a statement issued on Wednesday by the North's chief nuclear negotiator, who declared the country would never trade away its nuclear weapons capability in exchange for economic aid, administration officials said. The statement, which is a very familiar tactic by the North, represented a jarring shift in the tone after weeks of conciliatory gestures, warming of relations. Things were kind of getting better until all of a sudden they got worse. It never would change. So when they said economic aid for nuclear weapons was just not going to happen, and they would never do that. And it's kind of different to what was originally said in the negotiations, and things started to kind of just, things started to decrease. Things started to swing back, if you know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, so on Thursday and Friday, Trump asked aides questions about the wisdom of the proceeding. He was not really entirely sure, and he was getting a little bit antsy-pantsy about it, to say the least. On Saturday night, he called President Moon Jae-in of South Korea to ask why the North's public statement seemed to contradict the private assurances that Mr. Moon had conveyed after he met Kim Jong-un, the 35-year-old dictator at the North, at the DMZ in late April. So, it was like, why does he like me? Why does he like me less than he likes you, Mr. Moon? But there is the whole fact that you don't saber rattle against their country, you don't get into fights with their country. Moon doesn't get into fights with their country. He goes out of his way to try to negotiate with the country. He actually cares. But yeah, that just seems to be the way it is at this point. He is the only one who's actually shown any great deal of interest in maybe possibly coming in and trying to negotiate with the situation. There has not been a lot of negotiation in any stretch of the imagination for Donald Trump to be directly involved in. Granted, that's not his job, but still, the relationship got very warm very fast, and that's always something that in diplomacy you gotta be a little bit worried about. So that's the only problem. So the president's conversation with Moon, which was first reported by Washington Post, came just 3 days before the South Korean leader was scheduled to arrive in Washington to meet with Trump on Tuesday. It was a sign of Trump's discomfort. Some officials speculated that he could not wait to discuss the issue until Moon arrived for his meetings here. There was no indication the president is considering pulling out of the North Korean talks, so he's still in it to win it for the long haul. But they're still apparently quite worried about this thing and how it could turn into a big embarrassment, because they've never done this before. They're coming up completely empty-handed. I mean, this is maybe due on the basic diplomacy of this. Do you listen to Washington? I mean, or is it going to blow back in the face, or are you going to see something similar with what happened with China, which was pretty much a basic kind of rejection when they really kind of got played in the international stage just for this day. I mean, they really China won the day of negotiations, and so did North Korea. So it was a bad day for Donald Trump on the foreign policy front. I mean, we're not talking about China that much today because it's not really that big of a deal, but China just know they had a big step forward yesterday in the negotiations, kind of knocking the Trump team back on their feet a little bit, and it just shows you that's kind of going to be what happens when you get someone who is that kind of novice at the whole thing. Put them up on a high horse or pedestal as such. So anyway, Trump's aides have grown concerned that the president, who has said everyone thinks he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for his effort, has signaled that he wants the meeting too much. The aides also worry about Kim, sensing the president's eagerness, is prepared to offer assurances that will fade over time. So, like, kind of a bait trap just to kind of get him into the meeting. So he'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'll do this." Does the meeting? I'm not gonna do any of those things I told you before because you just wanted the meeting. You got the meeting, and now you got played because. Yeah, no more Nobel Peace Prize for you, because you get the sense that's what he wants more than anything. Like a real thing he can rub in the face of the libs and be like, "Oh yeah, this is mine, baby. You can suck on it." Like I mean, I'm sorry, but that's kind of that's what his attitude's gonna be on this. He's gonna walk on a MSNBC and parade around and say like, "It's my Nobel Peace Prize, Nobel Peace Prize." And that's what he wants to do, and he really wants something that signifies that his presidency is good. I mean, like President Obama won one too. You didn't really hear him complain about it, but there were some sketchy ones with that. I think it was for the Iran nuclear deal, I believe. So moreover, Trump's decision this month to withdraw from the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, speaking of the devil, raises the stakes for the North Korean negotiation. If he emerges with anything less than what President Barack Obama got, which is in Iran included the verified shipment of 97% of all nuclear material out of the country, it'll be hard for President Trump to convince anyone that other than his base negotiation was a success, and that's pretty much all he needs anyway. I mean, but the funny thing about the base is they're already convinced the negotiation is going to be a success before it's even happened because there's a base. And they're pretty crazy. They don't even wait for any possible dilemma. And I mean, for months we've been waiting to see kind of a step back, a turn of the page, a reevaluation of this situation, just at a broader level. And we really haven't seen it. We really have not seen it. And now, today, finally, we are seeing it. We're seeing kind of a change, a turn in the tide, if you will. So anyway, the aides are also concerned about what kind of grasp Trump has on the details of the North Korean program and what he must insist upon as the key components of denuclearization. Like, what is he going to push? What's he going to push for? Does he really understand this thing? When he's in the room, when he's talking it out, when he's trying to hammer it out, will he understand what's going on, or will be most of his aides doing the heavy lifting? Does he know the key components of it? My guess is no. Moon and his aides reported that Kim seemed highly conversant with all the elements of the program when the two met, which makes sense. It's his. And Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has made similar comments about Kim based on the meetings, his two meetings with him in Pyongyang, the North's capital. So pretty much, I mean, like everyone else is bringing their game here. Everyone else is coming correct Like, they know what's going on. The question is, will he be able to turn this situation around? Will he be able to make this not such a bleep show? Will he make it a great? Will he make it a major step up, a big improvement for America abroad? So that's going to be the big question. What can he pull it off here? Will he get educated and informed enough about this situation? My guess is no, because Trump hates education. Like, he was like, educated? No, I'm very smart already. I don't need it. But no, yeah, it'll be very interesting to see if he gets in there in time to really decide it. So anyway, yeah, we turn our attention now to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has just told the nation's workers it severely limited rights of workers today. I mean, they really told the nation's workers today to pretty much go screw yourselves. It's a major blow for workers harassed who suffer harassment or discrimination on the job. You're pretty much on your own here. Workers can still improve their conditions, but they cannot do it together, which takes away the leverage, and it's pretty much the whole point of the union. So they can no longer do it together according to this union. It's a big blow to unions, and it's pretty much the main point is it's also a devastating blow to the idea of the class action lawsuit, where workers kind of sue together to improve their conditions there. So, yeah, in a 5-4 decision on Monday, the court said that companies can use arbitration clauses in the employment contracts to bar workers from joining in legal actions over problems in the workplace. In other words, workers who are underpaid or harassed or discriminated against will have to press their cases alone in arbitration rather than with their colleagues in a class action case, or even with their own will. So the decision was the Epic Systems Corporation v. Lewis. Would be a blow at any moment, but it's really especially harmful right now. The rights of workers are under attack. Wage theft is rampant through violations of minimum wage laws. Refusal to pay overtime and forcing employees to work off the clock is a big deal. Our crude national discourse encourages all types of discrimination, and we know better now than ever how pervasive sexual harassment is. And it's a big problem in the workplace, and unions are also at an 80-year low. I mean, in addition, the institutions that can stand up for workers for workers who can't stand up for themselves. I mean, that stand up for workers who can't stand up for themselves are falling short. The proportion of American workers in unions at an 80-year low. State and local government agencies that enforce laws to protect workers are chronically underfunded, and the federal government is doing everything it can to lend a hand to the most predatory of employers. And that's pretty much the important thing to look into. I mean, in my opinion, that's probably the whole. That's pretty much the whole ball game here. What is the? It's like, what is the situation? Like, what are we pressing for? Like, we just don't know. There is so little energy left in the movement. It's really quite scary. I mean, the labor movement here is like, really, it's pretty much it's on its last legs. That's the most important point. So, I mean, the unions are seriously important, really, for a working class, because they have really no other course of regulation, action, really, against corrupt conditions in the workplace. Class action lawsuits will also be heard under this ruling, which is another big blow. And lawyers who charge really actually quite poor people a lot of money for basic services, it's very hard to get without a class action lawsuit. I mean, unions need attention. They're getting no support, and they need attention from the news media. They need attention from you. They need donations. They need support. And because without that, there will be no organized benefit for workers, and everyone's going to be hurt in the end. I mean, working class families are, as we know, the backbone of this country, and they're a pretty big deal. So that's why we need to have them on our side here today. It's just so important. So, class action lawsuits, as we know, workers critical for workers to exercise their rights. But the courts are there supposed to be there to provide a